Wait a minute. Ah. Oh. All right. I forgot my get up. All right, so Santa the happy lawyer. I don't think I could be any happier than I am right now. I'll show you my view. It's phenomenal. You can almost see it in my glasses. Okay, so I'm not. Okay, ready? Here's the view. View of me. Diamond Head. This is Diamond Head, named because when they came on ships, it was sparkling, and they thought they saw diamonds. So that's Diamond Head right across from there. Here's the ocean, which is our word for this vacation is ridiculous, because this is ridiculous. We had a different room the first night because we went back in time from the 16th to the 16th, and I only booked the room for the 17th. So fortunately, I was able to get a room for the 16th when we traveled back in time. Now, apparently today they're having a pool party at our hotel. So this is what's going on right outside. I was hoping to broadcast from here or from the pool, but it's just way too loud. I was floating on that pineapple a few minutes ago. It was a whole lot of fun. And there's a lot of beautiful people here, whether they're staged or not, you know. But they open the hotel pool to the public so that people can come and get a kick out of Queen Capiolani. And, you know, we're just viewing everything. It's just phenomenally beautiful. Hawaii is the bomb. Okay. You see? Good music. I could have good music from here. I don't know if you can hear me. Now, if I go this way with this in the background, you're not going to be able to see me. So I'm going to have to stay this way. And I'm going to go in because it really is just a little too loud for my very important message. Okay, I'm kidding around because I'm in a crazy mood. What are you going to do? So one of the reasons why I'm crazy right now is because we snorkeled with turtles, okay? Here's the turtle. The turtle spoke about the trip. This turtle, yes, spoke to me about the trip and said, you know, you're going to snorkel with turtles. And that's how this became, you know, one of the greatest trips. Now, we had the impression that we were going to see the turtles in Australia on the Great Barrier Reef, and we didn't. There were no turtles there. But the impression was still there in our minds. And after I said it, I was like, okay, maybe it's Hawaii. And sure enough, it was Hawaii. So my lesson for today is the impression you leave on the world is the impression that the world leaves on you. So what I'm finding out while I'm traveling around is very interesting, because you see a lot of different people and the way they live and the way they're brought up and their surroundings, just their basic surroundings, is enough to leave an impression on them. So I'm finding that people in New Zealand live in some of the most beautiful farmland I've ever seen in my life. And they have a respect for the land that, you know, people who grew up in cities don't have. We went to the Hobbiton. We thought, okay, let's go to Hobbiton. You know, we had to change our day from one day to the next because I just wanted to keep this beautiful picture in the background because it's very impressive as well. We changed our day because we were doing a luau thing. And we thought, okay, so we didn't get to go today. We'll go tomorrow. No big deal. But then when we got there, I got to tell you, talk about impressive. It was one of the most beautiful places I've ever seen in my life. And I'm not a Lord of the Rings fan. If you're a Lord of the Rings fan, just make a plan. Make a plan to go to Hobbiton and see where the hobbits live. It's huge. It's a giant space. When they played a little bit of the movie, you know, when I saw parts of the movie, I had the impression that it was computer-generated imaging, CGI effects. Well, it's not. It's actually real. It's that beautiful in real life. So, you know, there's an impression that I have. And you know, the impressions that you have in your life are not just from when you're children. As you grow up, you get different impressions. And, when I saw The Lord of the Rings and Hobbit and all that, I got the impression that it was computer generated. Not computer generated. I grew up with the basic movies that had basic backgrounds, Alfred Hitchcock and stuff like that. Then, computer generated stuff started coming in, and I started to just get the impression that a lot of movies were computer generated, and a lot of backgrounds, things that I saw were unbelievably beautiful on film, had to be created by the computer, not real. Well, that impression has now been burst. I burst that impression because the Hobbiton is really one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen in my life. Maybe the most beautiful thing till I got to Hawaii. And then that impression changed. So the things that impress you are, other people that give you ideas about how you should live. Another thing I noticed was that in foreign countries like Australia and New Zealand, children are raised to go out and explore the world. We met more and more people that were traveling on work visas for 2 years, 2 years here, 2 years there, people from all over the world. In Australia, excuse me, there were people from France that were there for 2 years. There were people from, Italy. There were people from all over the place that travel around when they're young. In the United States, there's more of a stay local, go to school locally. Maybe if you live on Long Island, you go to Buffalo or Oneonta or Albany, but you're not going. Very few people go into the University of Australia to study or to work before they carry on with the rest of their lives. And then people generally will tend to stay local after they graduate from college. They're going to get a job locally, start a business locally, and then they retire to either Florida or Arizona. So the whole impression that children get in the United States about, staying in the United States is very strong. We don't even realize it until I left the United States this time and went and saw all the things going on in Australia and New Zealand. It didn't even occur to us that people were just had a completely different impression of how to grow up, that they were purposefully going out and doing things and leaving where they lived. Now, we met a young lady at Hobbiton. She was from Australia, and she was giving us the tour. And I said to her, "How long have you been doing this tour?" Because she's really well versed, giving me the impression that she really was knowledgeable and pretty much an expert on everything going on. And she said, I've been doing this 1 week. In 1 week, she learned everything. And I'm sure they taught her and showed her the films and said, this is what you say at this point. And she did a great job. But 1 week she was there, giving us the impression that she really was knowledgeable about what was going on. And I asked her, how did that come about? And she said that she just saw it online. She filled out an application. She never expected to hear back. So she gave it a shot. She threw it out there to travel to another country and work as a tour guide at Hobbiton. And after that, they contacted her, and she did like an online interview. And the next thing you know, they were hiring her. She never really expected it. She just gave it a shot, did not have the impression in her mind that it would really come true. And in fact, it did come true. And there she was. She was there. She was in New Zealand for 2 weeks. 1 week she took to get set up. 1 week she took work in her job as, a Hobbiton tour guide, which was very good. So the impression she had in her mind of reaching out to go for her dream, to go to New Zealand and work there. And she just gave it a shot. Lots of times people will have an impression in their mind that they can't make their dreams come true. What the dream that we had of swimming with a sea turtle. And I hope I know I got still shots on it. I'm on the underwater camera. I think I got GoPro shots. Hopefully I'll be able to transfer some of that and get it to you. But we saw the sea turtle. Hey, Laura, yeah, Ernie swam with a sea turtle. I tell you, he'll tell you more about himself. Blown away, the both of us. I mean, like stars in our eyes. So this whole trip, my whole idea of the dream that I had of going to the Great Barrier Reef and going into Australia it was like just an impression that I had in my head, but the impression that I also had was that it was really not a doable thing, that it was going to be really difficult, that it was going to be something that was going to take a lot of time and a lot of money. And it did take a lot of time. No, I'm sorry, it took a lot of time to think about it. It did not take a lot of time to actually plan it. When I planned it, people were like, oh, when are you going? I'm like, August 2nd. They're like, you mean in 4 weeks? You're going to Australia in 4 weeks? I'm like, yeah. And I just went online. I just did lots of research that I wanted to do. I put that time into it, and I made the Australia thing come true. And it takes a plane flight. Everybody wants to worry about this. Oh, the impression of the plane flight. Everybody talks about how you're going to do the plane. How are you going to do the plane? You just get on the plane. You just get on the plane. And however you deal with it, you just deal with it. It's 13 hours on a plane. You just do it. I didn't care. My impression of the plane was, I had no impression of it. I didn't care. It was just something that was going to happen. But a lot of people have this impression because they hear from other people, oh, it's such a long plane ride. Well, you know what? People drive to Florida. It takes 2 days to drive to Florida, and you're sitting in that car stuck. So what's the difference if you're on a plane to Brisbane for 13 hours? I mean, it's just something that you do. If your impression in your mind is that it's a difficult thing, if that's the impression that you've gotten from wherever in the world you've gotten it, then the impression that you put out is that it's going to be a difficult thing. Then when you actually do it, you find out that the real world impression is not that big a deal to fly on the plane. It's not that big a deal. Even the airfare right now in Australia and New Zealand it's winter time. It was not cold. It was like 60 degrees. It was perfect for traveling. Actually, Australia was much warmer. We hit a heat wave. It was in the 70s. The impression that people had that, oh, it's winter in Australia. These are all impressions that are they're almost like fake ideas in your mind, fake barriers that are going to stop you from doing something. It never would have stopped me, especially weather. Weather never stops me from going on vacation. So we did 4 different flights from LA to Brisbane to Sydney to Auckland to Wellington, all over the place, and then to Hawaii, 4 flights for $2,000. That's not bad. $2,000 for all 4 flights. It's not bad. I saw somebody online say, oh, I wish I could go to Hobbiton, but it costs $2,500 and takes 2 days to get there. An impression that somebody gave her that was the impression that she now put out into the world, that it was very difficult and expensive to do, and in fact, an incorrect impression. If you want to go in the wintertime, which is our summertime, it's empty, it's cheap, the hotels are cheap. I stayed in expensive hotels, $150. $150 for a hotel that it was a full apartment. It was a 2-bedroom apartment with the geothermal mineral pools on premises. Geothermal mineral pools on premises. I think I posted it. That hotel was $150. And all of our hotels in New Zealand were super cheap. There were hotels that were $85. I didn't take the $85 hotel. I upgraded to the $150 hotel, split between 2 people. So the impression that you're getting from the world that it's too expensive, it's far away, it's difficult to do, not true. Also, there's tons of, if you're young, or if you really want to go on a budget, there are tons of places around. We just walked down the block and there's a hostel after hostel after hostel. Forget about the impression you may get from the movie, which I saw one of them. It was disgusting. I'll never block it out of my mind. But I bet there are people that are staying there for $50. And there's all kinds in New Zealand, all over the place in New Zealand. Backpackers here, backpackers there. They're welcoming people who are traveling on a budget. And there's lots of places to eat that are cheap. So the impression about traveling as expensive and difficult that we have in the United States to travel to other countries is a false impression. It's something that's come from what other people say. But now that I've done it, the impression that I'm getting is the real world impression. This is the impression that the world is giving me. Australia is telling me, come on over. It's not that difficult. New Zealand, phenomenally beautiful. Which somebody said, I said I'm going to Australia. They said, well, if you go to Australia, you have to go to New Zealand. Miriam McEnroe. Well, if you're there, you have to go to New Zealand. And that's what people said. So then all of a sudden we were going to New Zealand. Turned out my friend Owen, I thought he was in Australia. He was in New Zealand. I said, okay, we'll go to New Zealand. And then as a stopover on the way back, instead of stopping in LA or San Francisco, there was a stopover in Hawaii. I threw it out there into the universe, and we decided, okay, we'll stop over in Hawaii. And we did, and I got to tell you, talk about impressive. It's very impressive. But another thing that I noticed, the impression that you get from traveling from Australia, New Zealand back into the United States, is that the people in New Zealand are super nice. I mean, everybody's courteous. The hotel that we ultimately went to with the geothermal pools was one that we found because we went to a hotel first that didn't have geothermal. We couldn't find it, and I didn't have internet connection, and we were just kind of like free floating in New Zealand. So we went to a place and they said, oh, we don't have geothermal pools, but I know a girl up the block that maybe she has an idea where you could go. And then we went from there. She didn't have geothermal pools. She called another place. So these are two hotels that called a third hotel to get us what we wanted, the geothermal pools on premises. So that's nothing that I've ever seen happen in the United States. In the United States, it's always, oh no, we don't know anything about that. You should just stay here. The United States is so out for the money. It's not consumer friendly at all. It's all about me. It was very disheartening to come back and see that. And it happened immediately when we got back to the United States. People were blatantly rude. We were down by the pool and somebody was asking about smoking a cigarette. Does anybody have cigarettes or know where I can get cigarettes? And a person that works in this hotel, I think he was either a waiter or a bartender. He actually said, oh, I wouldn't be so lame as to smoke cigarettes. Could you imagine ever saying that to somebody? I wouldn't be so lame as to smoke cigarettes. Just say, no, I don't have a cigarette. Or no, I don't know where you can get cigarettes. This guy actually said to a customer in the hotel, I wouldn't be so lame as to smoke cigarettes. It was really like a shock to hear something that rude. And a lot of other things in the United States. People are not nice. And guess what? After being in Australia and New Zealand for 2 weeks, I was feeling that, oh, the world is so nice, the world is so beautiful. When I got back to the United States and I got that rude impression from other people, the world was rude, I started to become rude. I started to become a rude American. And I was like, ooh, I got to catch myself, like being snarky to people who were taking up 2 seats on the bus or something, like, could you move your stuff so that I can sit down? Instead of just saying, I'm sorry, can I sit here? It's very sad that I became a rude American. Also, the other thing I noticed, very disheartening, is the overweight American. People in other countries are not overweight. As soon as you get back to the United States, Hawaii, I hate to say it, we're a fat country. People here eat too much. We eat too much. We're not eating the right things. We're not paying attention to what's going on. We get the impression that you don't have to worry so much about it. Or once you start to put on weight, you can't stop it. You have to, it just happened. I couldn't help it. I couldn't help that I gained all that weight. Listen, I need to lose like 20 pounds. And I'm going to get on it when I get back to New York. But the thing is, that's the impression that we have in the United States. Everybody, you see things on TV, except people that are, and I'm not, listen, I'm not saying that it's not something that's difficult. People smoke cigarettes in the United States. People don't smoke cigarettes across the other countries. It's very strange. And it's the impression that they've grown up with, that this is what you do. You don't smoke cigarettes. And, I don't even know what they think about as far as their diets, but I know that in the United States, I'm here, there's McDonald's on the corner, there's Kentucky Fried Chicken, there's a lot of fast food that I don't see in other countries, or I didn't see. So it's kind of like that's the impression that the people in the world are giving you. But what the actual world impression is all of this beauty. I don't know if you can see it a little bit. can't see me now, but all of this beauty, all of this greenery, all of that beautiful water. Today we swam with sea turtles, seeing all of that beautiful, underwater, the sea turtles. That's really the world that you need to allow to impress you. The beauty of nature, the beauty of being nice to people, being courteous, not, being respectful. In New Zealand, they don't even talk about politics. It doesn't really seem, there's not a lot of racism that goes on over there. In the United States, it's like every other day. You can't get away from racism, politics, and all of this, whatever, fill in the blank, mom shaming, this shaming, this shaming. Everybody's judgmental. Everybody's judging each other over here. And nobody can live up to any of the expectations that people have or the impressions that you have of other people and what they should be doing. So I think what we need to do is just get back to nature a little more, get back to basics a little more. Don't, free up your time. Drop stuff that's sucking up your time. Take a walk in the morning, take a walk after dinner. Things that are gonna just, influence your life, and listen to people that are positive. I try to be positive. I'm not being so positive about the United States right now. I'm like United States shaming. It's just what I've observed. But there are people out there that are going to be able to influence you, and pay attention to what you're listening to. Pay attention to the people you're talking to. Don't sit around and gossip with other people. Don't get stuck in that circle of friends that is always just sitting around on the weekend and drinking or not doing anything and complaining. Get out of that. You must change your environment, change the world around you, and your thoughts will start to change. We happen to be riding, we just decided to take a bus, and of course the universe always influences everything I do. We took this yellow line bus, and there was this guy named Clint who was driving the bus, and he was saying, I don't want to drive a bus for the rest of my life, it's something else I want to do. And I said, well, what's your passion? And he said he wanted to help people. Now I said, well, then why don't you help people? Now this guy was super buff. He's a friend of mine, Clint Leftover, I think his name is, but the guy is, buff isn't the word, the guy has got a magnificent physique. Let's just say like he could win a contest in, Mr. World America, whatever. And we started talking to him about it a little bit, and, he knew about the book The Secret, he knew about the law of attraction, he knew that, love is all you need. But it didn't seem like he had the impression that he could actually make a difference in people's lives by helping them. And we started talking about it. Now, oddly enough, the whole ride back, which was about 15-20 minutes to the hotel, nobody else got on the trolley. It was just me, my friend Ernie, and this guy Clint. And so we're talking him up, and we're like, you can do, the ultimate motivation, you can do it, you can do it. And I said to him, look at your physique. Help people. There are a lot of people that want that physique. So get online, do a 30-second thing that says, okay, today we're gonna, honor the universe and do 10 bicep curls, and do that for 30 seconds. And, you could kind of see in his posture and in his eyes and in his thought process that maybe nobody ever said this to him before. Maybe nobody ever said, hey, you know what? You are motivated. You can motivate people. Just look at what you've done for yourself. Use your own life as an example and motivate people to work out. Motivate people, because that's the hook. That's the hook for him. He's got an incredible physique, and he's very nice, and he really wants to do it just to help people. He just wants to help people. So I'm hoping that the impression that we gave him, that if he had an impression that he was not worthy of doing that kind of thing, that we might have shifted his impression by telling him, you know what, you can do it, that I'm doing it. Everybody's doing it. There's a million people out there doing motivational speaking and motivational whatevering. We need more of that, in fact. If we were all motivational speakers just for 5 minutes a day, the world would be a better place. So this is the thing. His world, in his world, maybe he didn't think he was worthy of being a motivator. But now, after speaking with us, maybe his idea of the world changed a little bit. So, what you have to do is be careful where you're getting your impressions from. TV is the worst. I can't even talk about. I was stuck on the plane for 13 hours. I watched movies. I didn't care. I just watched movies. But I got to tell you, almost every movie, the opening scene is somebody comes in with a gun and shoots people. Somebody comes in with a machine gun, and shoots 10 people. And then the hero shows up and saves everybody. Well, if that's going to be the opening scene to all the movies that you're watching or all the TV shows that you're watching, I know Law and Order, the opening scene is always somebody getting killed or whatever. These are the things, all these dramas, all these TV dramas, they're all open with somebody being killed, injured, shot, whatever. It's a bad impression. It's a bad impression to leave on you. So stop watching that stuff, or be careful. Don't let your kids get involved in these games they call them first-person shooter games, where you're actually shooting people. And I know a lot of people do it. I could never do it. I could never go in a game and shoot people. So, be careful. This is the impression that young people are getting in the world, that going in and shooting, it's fake. I heard someone's young child say, "Oh, I just shot you, now you're dead." And then in the game, they respawn. It's called respawning, and you come back to life. So the impression that children are getting is that you can shoot somebody and they'll come back to life. I'm not saying that they'll get that impression in the real world, but it's the impression it's the baseline that they're being shown. It's not good. And even us as humans. Oh, Alfred Hitchcock. I watched Psycho on the plane. There was so little blood in that movie. When she gets stabbed in the shower, there's like a minuscule amount. Nobody could even. I cut myself shaving, and I bleed more than in Psycho. And that was all that they ever showed back then. Now, forget it. Forget it. You see, like the first opening scene of Saving Private Ryan. I had to walk out of the movie theater. I couldn't watch it after that, because we've gotten accustomed. The impression of violence is just so prevalent. And you have a choice to back off of that. You have a choice to say, no, I'm not going to get hooked into it. I'm not going to get hooked into the next, HBO series where it's all about people shooting people and, who's the bigger boss and whatever it is. I don't even know. I don't care, because I don't watch TV. So you have to change the impression that the world is giving you. Go back to basics. Be more into nature. Be more into simple foods. Shop around the outside of the food store where the whole foods are, not the preserved foods, not the, genetically modified foods. Go organic. You know what? Even if it costs a few dollars more, so what? Just do it, because it may be better for your body. It's going to be worth it. There's only one body that you have. It's only going to last maybe 100 years. So, start to take better care of it. I'm going to... I walk in the morning. Walking in the morning has helped me an incredible amount, because we've been doing a lot of walking here, and I'm telling you, I'm feeling it. If somebody did not do regular walking, this trip would be very difficult for them. But that's the impression I have. I get up in the morning and I start walking. I get up at sunrise. My impression of the world is get up at sunrise. When the sun rises, there's so much great energy. All the birds come to life. All the animals come alive. It's like literally the dawning of a new day. It's just so beautiful and so inspiring to me that I try not to miss it. And I post my sunrises online, and people tell me that they lay in bed until 8 o'clock in the morning, and then they open my page to look at the sunrise. And that's the first sunrise that they see, is the sunrise that I posted. Now I'm glad that they're looking at the page to see the sunrise I posted. But, it's an impression that you have in your life. It's okay. Retired people, my retired friend said that to me. I'm glad he could stay in bed until 8 o'clock in the morning. I'm a little jealous. But I would, even if I was retired, I would be up and out. It's just me. It's just who I am. It never was. Didn't used to be that way. I used to be a stay-in-bed person. So my impression changed because the world changed it, because I got up and I saw the sunrise. I heard the birds. I felt the energy to walk just 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, an hour, whatever I could get in. I I'm lucky enough to live by the beach. But even if you walk in your neighborhood, even if you live in Manhattan, if you get up early in the morning at sunrise and you walk even in your city blocks, it's quiet. There's no one around. You can do that. You can change your impression of the world around you by seeing the world in a different way, by seeing the sunrise, by paying attention to when the birds are starting to chirp, or when the changing of the seasons. We had another weird thing. We were in winter time. We took a 9-hour flight, and all of a sudden it was summer. We skipped right over spring. We traveled back in time, and we got 1 day later and 2 seasons ahead. It was pretty funny. But yeah, the impressions that we have can be changed. You don't have to be stuck in that impression that you have. And the impression that you have that your dreams can't come true, this is very important. People always say, oh, it's a daydream. It's a dream. It's a dream I have to teach children. It's a dream I have to bake cakes and be a baker. It's a dream I have to be a motivational speaker. It's a dream I have to be a surfer. I'm going to be taking surfing lessons in a couple of days for the first time. These are all dreams. And guess what? Dreams can come true, because all you have to do is take one act. Take one act towards that dream. When I started talking about, going to Australia, I just, started looking into it. My dad, I almost said Alaska, because that was my dad's dream trip. I said to him, Dad, what's your dream trip? He said, oh, I'd love to take a cruise to Alaska. Guess what? All you have to do is call the cruise line, and I booked the trip for us. He could not believe it. It was that simple. Just as it was this simple to take this trip to Australia. Then it was simple to add New Zealand. And then it was simple to add Hawaii. So I have amazing dreams coming true here. My impression that I've developed in my life is that my dreams can come true. And the more I hang around with other people who believe their dreams can come true, the more I understand that your dreams can come true. You just have to act on them. Clint, who's has a dream to help people. Maybe now he's thinking, hey, maybe my dream about helping people can come true, because, Diana, the happy lawyer, is doing it. She's dealing with lawyers because that's what she knows. Maybe I can deal with people who want to work on their physique and give them a little more than, 10 bicep curls. Maybe I can give them 10 bicep curls and the impression that their dreams can come true about having a magnificent body. My friend Jeff Smith, please, he's inspiring me. First of all, he's a pilot, so he travels all over the world, and I'm very inspired by that. Didn't realize my dream of traveling is really blooming now. But he's also been working on his body. Friend Jeff Smith, and I'll tell you, you'll see something really impressive. The guy is mid-40s. He's purposefully worked on his body. I met him last year at the Matrix. For the last year, he's gotten into it, and you can really see results. I mean, way to go, Jeff. He looks amazing. And good for him. And guess what? It doesn't matter how old you are, because every day your body regenerates new cells. You have new cells that are regenerating in your skin, new cells regenerating in your lungs, new cells regenerating in your brain. Every single day you have new cells. They're brand new cells. They're young. All of your cells are young every single day. There really is no such thing as getting old. Time passes, but your body rejuvenates itself every day. So every day you're young again. This is I'm not making this up. This is science. But our impression that as we get older, we have to have back problems, we have to have knee problems, we have to have all these other problems. Our impression that we get as children, oh, you have a cold, we're going to take you to the doctor. The impression that you need a third party to help you get well instead of being able to heal yourself from disease or take action on your own that will make you feel better. And you've heard people like, oh, I'm getting a cold, I'm going to, take some echinacea or take some vitamin C or take a steam in the bathtub, and people will act on their own to help themselves feel better. When you cut your skin, you get a small cut, you don't think I got to run to the doctor. You know that your body is going to heal that cut. But when we have this impression in our minds that when we get older, we get difficulties. When we get sick, we have to run to a doctor and get medication. These are all impressions that you can change, and you can have a different impression and have an impression that you can help yourself to live a better life, to chase your dreams. And just, you don't have to chase them. Just take a hold of them. Just take a hold of them. Just take one step towards them, and they'll take one step towards you. The magnets got me to the Great Barrier Reef in less than 6 months. From talking about it to you guys, it's always been in my mind forever. And it was always available. It was always accessible. But my impression that I had that it was difficult and hard to do and all of that stuff was blocking me. And in fact, it was a fake block. It was a fake impression, because the Great Barrier Reef was there waiting for me. All I had to do was take an act towards it. And then one step towards me, one step towards it. And before I knew it, we were magnets and we were touching the Great Barrier Reef. And it was amazing. And then today, swimming with sea turtles. I could cry. This whole trip has brought me to tears many times over. So, I'm so excited that I was able to go live from Australia. My live from New Zealand was late because I didn't have internet while we were traveling and I didn't know what day it was. And now I am live from Hawaii from my happy lawyer. Next week, I'll be live from New York, I think. I think I'll be in New York next Sunday. Who the heck knows? But, I'm sure I'll be learning. I'm learning every day on this trip. So I'll be learning more things between now and next week. And I'll let you know what new impressions I have. But until then, think about the impressions that you have in your life about that things are difficult. What impressions do you have that are stopping you from reaching for your dreams? It doesn't matter how old you are. I talked about this. The KFC, Kentucky Fried Chicken, was like in his 60s when he got the secret recipe. And Henry Ford was in his 50s when he finally got the car running. So, it's a matter of just putting away all those blocks, putting away all those impressions, and getting new impressions. Whether it's from other people, whether it's from motivational speakers, whether it's turning off the negative news or TV or getting out of the gossip group for lunch, get away from those and find new impressions. Read a book. Tell people, oh, you know what, I'm reading this book. I'm sorry, I don't mean to be rude. At lunchtime, I'm just going to go read this book because it's really good and I, want to get into it. And excuse yourself from that negativity and get yourself into more positivity. Take a walk in nature. Help out at an animal rescue, help out at a nursing home, help out anywhere that moves you, whatever it is that's special to you, whatever is important to you, whatever your passion is, don't let impressions that you've gotten from other people stop you from going after it, because the actual world, anything that's not man-made, anything that's universe-made, that's a different impression. So look about and see what is man-made in your life that's stopping you and get rid of it. And when you get rid of the man-made stuff, then the universe is there. The universe-made things are there for you to grab onto. And like a little rope, pull yourself towards your passion and towards your dreams. And on that note, I'm going to go. I don't know what time it is because I never do. I never know what time these things are going on for. But there's a party outside. The party that's going on in the pool. The pool party. I was laying on that pineapple. So I'm going to go lay on the pineapple again. There's Diamond Head. I may try and hike up Diamond Head tomorrow. The guy said it's an hour from here to the front gate and an hour to the top. It's kind of hard to believe that I could get to the top of that mountain in 2 hours. But I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the bus to the front gate and then maybe hike up an hour. So that should be pretty cool. And of course, on Tuesday I'll be surfing. First time for me. I always wanted to surf. I live in Long Beach. I see the surfers every day. And I thought, I should surf. Well, guess what? I'm going to be surfing in a couple of days. So thank you all for tuning in. In a way, I can't wait to get home. It's nice to travel. You'll learn a lot of stuff. And then you go home and you apply the stuff that you learned. So that's what I'm going to do. And until next week, I love you all, and love is all you need. Mwah, 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 mwah.